Oh, I'm going the wrong way. Fantastic! Sorry! Oh wow, it's much more round than I expected.
I realized I don't have to travel halfway across Europe whenever I want to discover something new. Because as it turns out, there are loads of places right here on my doorstep that I've never actually seen. So I started looking for the best day trips around Stockholm. And this one place just kept popping up. Mariefred. Like any good road trip, this one started with a quick stop at a gas station. A coffee, a French hot dog, and I gotta say, Sweden has no business being this good at hot dogs. And is it even a road trip if you're not eating your hot dog in front of the car?
On the road again. On the road again. How the hell do I get out of here? Oh, I'm going the wrong way. Fantastic! Sorry.
After years of traveling for work, I always managed to entertain myself during longer drives.
Back in Tupelo in 1935, baby boy who'd rock the world, whose rhythm came alive. Here comes the king. Here comes the king.
Merging. Colorado then.
Here comes the king.
And it's funny how places closest to you, like an hour away, are often the ones you actually put off seeing.
I've only just parked, and I'm already giddy.
This is Gripsholm Castle. It was built almost 500 years ago by Gustav Vasa, the king who's often credited with laying the foundations of modern Sweden. So when he decided to build himself a little castle, he clearly wasn't messing around. Despite looking like it could survive a small apocalypse, this wasn't just a fortress. It actually became one of the royal family's favorite places to live. And it's kinda easy to see why that is.
Oh wow, it's much more round than I expected.
And just in case the walls weren't enough to convince you, they also put these ginormous cannons in the first courtyard. And I gotta say, the intricate details on them were quite fascinating. From the outside, it feels like you're walking into a military fortress, but behind these walls is an actual royal home. Although home might be stretching it a little bit. One king, Eric XIV, actually ended up imprisoned here after losing the throne. So yeah, I don't think he gave the best of ratings to this place.
So this castle is supposed to be hosting Sweden's most famous lion. I guess we're about to find out what kind of lion. And onwards we go on stairs. Oh, these stairs are treacherous.
For a place that's over 5 centuries old, it feels surprisingly alive. The floors creak, the staircases are tiny, and every room feels like it has something different waiting around the corner.
Why?
And as I continued snooping around, every room seemed to have another reminder that life at the top wasn't too bad. Fancy rooms, incredible views, and apparently
ensuite.
Yep, your very own bathroom. And I gotta say, the view, it wasn't that crappy either. I guess being royalty has its perks after all. And I gotta warn you about neck pain when visiting this castle, because I was looking more at the ceilings than where I was actually going.
Now here's an interesting tidbit. This chandelier is actually made of paper. Stairs. More stairs.
And then, almost completely out of nowhere, there's an actual theater inside the castle. And from what I was told, is one of the best preserved 18th century theaters in Europe. Which is not something I expected to find in what looked like a fortress 5 minutes ago.
Oh hey look, it's Lando Calrissian.
And as I waddled my way through the castle, I finally found Sweden's most famous lion.
I would definitely ask for a refund. Oh man, poor lion.
Safe to say that he lived up to his reputation. With that unforgettable encounter out of the way, it was time to find another important place, which was the gift shop.
I like how they played into the silliness and didn't choose to, hide it, but actually use it to their own benefit. Because that lion is quite unique.
Back outside, it was nice to swap narrow corridors for open space again. And I gotta say, the views out here are just as impressive as the castle itself, if not even a little bit more. This whole combination of the lake, the ducks, and just everything around it just made it such a peaceful place to just exist. And the more you walk around, the more it starts to just feel like one of those places where you can leave your worries at the moat for a few hours. And I slowly started to understand why the royal family loved coming here so much. And as I wandered around the castle grounds, I found the perfect place to just slow down for a few minutes.
Now this is a bench. I think every city has a bench, that everybody wants to sit on, and the best bench in the city. I think I found it. I think this is the one for sure. At least it's like 25 degrees and you're not melting. And there's shade, there's trees and stuff, so I got that going for me, which is nice.
Apparently, I picked the perfect time to arrive, because when I got here, the place was almost empty, and by the time I left...
What the heck, when I left, there were like 3 cars here. Now there's absolutely no space left to park. What in the heck?
With Gripsholm behind me, it was time to head out to the next stop. It was only about 10 minutes away, and I don't think I could have picked 2 more different places to visit. And then I found myself behind these 2 guys. Yeah, absolutely not. I've seen Final Destination. There is no way in hell I'm driving behind a truck full of logs.
You can't park there, mate. Hell yeah, let's go see some tanks. The smell of iron and steel. I mean... the legendary Sherman Firefly.
Look, I wasn't expecting a tank museum to be part of today's adventure. This is Arsenalen, Sweden's tank museum, and it's home to one of the largest collections of military vehicles in Scandinavia. Honestly, I don't care how old you are. Like, standing next to these things makes you feel like a 10-year-old again.
Now, that is a cannon.
They got everything from World War II machines to Cold War monsters, and not just Swedish vehicles either. British, American, Soviet, there's a little bit of everything. And walking around them just makes you appreciate how ridiculously big some of these machines actually really are.
Hot damn. Yep, that's the engine.
Turns out, one of the tanks was actually rolled off the production line on the exact same day I was born.
Didn't think I would share a birthday with a tank. Very cool. Very cool.
Naturally, the gift shop knows exactly who its audience is.
Yeah, this was way cooler than I expected, and they have so many tanks, and not just Swedish tanks, German, Soviets, all kinds of tanks. And let me tell you, if you love tanks, this is the place for you.
And with that very unexpected detour complete, it was time to head back into town. The more I walked around, the more it felt like one of those places that somehow escaped modern life. It's not really frozen in time, just in no particular hurry. One thing I quickly noticed was how independent everything felt. Like little cafés, small shops, a local bookshop, the kind of places that feel like they've been part of the town forever. And then I kind of stumbled upon this place. Apparently, Mariefred has a shop dedicated almost entirely to fossils, minerals, and gemstones, which felt incredibly targeted. I don't know how they knew I was coming, but they certainly got my attention. One minute you're looking at tiny opals, and the next you're staring at a fossilized mammoth leg, and then there's somehow a 2.2 million crowns topaz sitting in the display case. A little something for everybody, I guess. There was even a Mosasaurus jaw just casually sitting there, like it's the most normal thing in the world. And safe to say, I didn't leave empty-handed. I just had to get one of them. Like, I had to get one of these teeth. Like, it's a Mosasaurus tooth. I don't know which one of it is, but come on. How cool is that? And once my tooth was in order, I just kept on wandering the city. Tiny streets, colorful houses, parks by the lake, every corner just felt quieter than the last. And it's kind of silly how the loudest thing in the city was my breathing and my crunching the ground. I honestly don't know what it is about this place, but it has a pace that just makes you slow down without even realizing it.
Yeah, that ain't gonna happen.
And the more I explored, the more I started noticing little moments instead of landmarks. I was no longer trying to find, that place to see or that other place to see. I was just looking at flowers growing out of somebody's garden, boats drifting across the lake, or church bells in the distance.
Not too shabby. Not too shabby.
I was just enjoying being there.
Well, I guess I won't be having any ice cream today. The line is just too much. The more I walk in this city, the more I can already see myself living here, Like I can go to a nice bakery. There's like these tiny glimpses that you get from a place that you could actually see yourself living here.
The only thing that reminded me that this town is several hundred years old was the cobblestones. My knees were willing to forgive them, but my feet, not so much.
Ow, 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 ow.
But eventually the hunger won, so I stopped by one of the local bakeries. And as I was looking for a bench to sit down and eat my lunch, well, the geese eventually made the decision for me. So I just sat down by the water and had one of the nicest lunches I had in a long time.
One thing I realized recently is that lunch can be just a sandwich. It doesn't have to be this whole production with sitting down, having a knife and fork and all that. And it's kind of embarrassing that it took me so long to actually get to this realization, but better late than never. And also, if later I just stumble upon a bakery that has some really good pastries, I can pick one up and I'm not gonna feel bad because, I had just a sandwich. It sort of balances itself, right?
And just when I thought this day couldn't get any better, something that I genuinely did not expect happened. I bumped into one of you guys.
It's like now I just saw you in Mariefred. It's like, here's Andy. Oh my God. So happy to see you. This is so weird for me. Oh my God.
Yeah, for you it must be strange.
Yeah,
Random people coming.
I'm just a normal dude. The odds of it to just meet randomly in a town that I don't live in.
Yeah,
and I'm just randomly in.
We ended up standing there talking for what felt like ages, in a good way, genuinely laughing and having a good time, and moments like that are still incredibly strange for me, in the best possible way. It's one thing seeing numbers on a screen, it's another to randomly meet somebody who decided to spend part of their day watching your videos. Needless to say, that experience totally humbled me, and yeah. And the day was coming to an end, and as I drove home, I realized I completely misjudged this place. I thought I was just coming for a touristy thing, seeing a castle, maybe a nice walk, seeing some attractions. Instead, I found somewhere I really didn't want to leave anymore. Because when I planned this trip, I honestly thought it would be just another nice day out. Going and seeing tanks, finding fossil shops, or seriously getting to the point where I was trying to see how much a house costs there. That's what kind of surprised me the most. It didn't feel like just a tourist destination. It felt like a place where people actually live, and a place where you can even imagine yourself living too. And along the way, I actually realized something else. I spent the entire day on my feet, and I walked around 15,000 steps, but I never even gave them a thought. They weren't really a challenge anymore. They were just how I got from one interesting place to another. And I guess that part is what made me the happiest. And if Mariefred is anything to go by, I think I got plenty more adventures waiting for me right here in Sweden. So I'll see you guys in the next one. Ciao for now.